Hello and welcome to a new series on the channel called Horseshoe Theory, where we debate some of the most controversial topics in Counter-Strike and likely find no real answer because we're such insufferable bastards. I'm your host Sam Anime Mackenzie, and today we'll be discussing whether Dupree is the greatest player of all time. So it's time now for me to introduce our competitors. In the red corner, weighing it at a feeble 47 pounds, butchered trim, the voice of reason, king of the rhombus Asgra, Batman Dave reincarnate, Harry Nero Richards. And in the blue corner, weighing in at considerably less than he used to thanks to his impressive gym regime, the most difficult bastard on planet Earth, the man Harry wishes he is, the contrarian nightmare, Elliott aizyesque. Hey, both.
I liked my introduction, but I don't like him being described as the voice of reason.
Well,
it's just setting the tone early, isn't it?
Well, we'll see in 20 minutes.
Yeah, you got to get those jabs in before you set, before your defense is up.
Most neutral mediator.
Okay, so I guess in this case we'll start because I might be the mediator, but one of you is the one with the unreasonable take here.
All right, Harry, you can start.
Why is Dupree
right
the best player of all time?
What is the point of competition if it isn't to win? The point of competition is to win, and nobody wins like Dupree does. Nobody has won more. Nobody has won more majors. Like, the whole point Dupree has succeeded in. He's triumphed in more majors than anyone else. He's won it with 8 different players, and like all of them won their first major with him, I think. Yeah.
Apex.
Oh, yeah, okay, not Apex, but come on, let's not fuck around. Apex won one in, like, 1998. Yeah, it's like, get right, you couldn't hit a headshot. Doesn't count. So, like, in the purest form, there is nobody greater than Dupree, because he has quite literally won more majors than anyone else. Like, it doesn't get more pure than that. The whole point of competition is to win, and he's done that. Like, you can't call somebody who doesn't win the greatest at anything. That's insane.
Okay. So Harry,
you already established you've got one criteria, just one.
No, there's more than one criteria.
Trophies, just list for trophies, list for prize winning, just saw the prize winning. Bang, Dupree's at the top. Oh, Dupree must be the best player of all time.
No, he was also comfortably the best rifler at like 3 of those majors.
As soon as you're saying best rifler, not best player, like it's not really relevant to best.
Well,
player.
Yeah, but because like AWPers don't really like. Okay, fine. Device had a higher rating. You know as well as I do that HLTV rating is nonsense. You've made an entire video on this. Leatify is better. Until we have Leatify rating, you have to go by eye test, and my eye test is Dupree's. Yeah, well, do we have Leatify rating for those majors?
So those majors, probably not. Maybe not. But so we just slow down a little bit. We'll slow down a little bit. So Dupree, okay, has he ever been the best player on his team?
Yes.
When?
The Face It Major 2019. Sorry, I think Katowice 2019, arguably Face It Major 2018.
Well, when Megas got the MVP, because he was better than him.
MVPs don't mean anything. We all know this.
Yeah, well. But Dupree didn't win that way, MVP. Dupree just the narrative. It's just literally narrative.
No, the narrative is that Magisk won it, because he got the MVP. That is the narrative. HOTV control the narrative. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. All the power.
Like, if you look at the Katowice 2019 major, Dupree averages like a 1.24 whilst entry fragging. That's insane. Do you know how incredible that is?
The thing is, okay, so you talk about Dupree as this entry fragger. It's like, there's entry fragging and there's entry fragging. Like, entry fragging in that fucking Australis team is very different to any other team. Dupree was never like Apex, Nutjob, or like even like people now like Nico and shit. He was never like that. He always had like 22% open. It's like he's not.
It's 25%
crazy.
at the Katowice 2019.
That one tournament, but over the whole time span of Australis 2018 to 2019, it was like 22. Because Glaive had loads, fucking Device had quite a lot. Like he's not a crazy aggressive player. I don't think you can use the entry fragger thing. You can in 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
2018, 19. I don't think his role held him back at all. I think he had really good roles.
Columbus 2016, he had nearly 27% attempts with like over 2/3 success. Now, that's insane. And that's an event he didn't win, which apparently doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, that just clearly doesn't matter if he doesn't win it, surely.
Yeah, well, according to you, it does. So,
well, it doesn't matter how well you play, as long as you like win the tournament. As long as you're like on the team that wins the tournament. Like,
but he was also really
Sorry.
good in most of those majors they won.
he was.
He was incredible. Like, and it's like people have tried to sort of retcon it as if he's like just a bit part player in one of the greatest teams of all time, and he's hell of a lot more than that.
No, he was always the second. He was always the second star, but because he was the second star in such a good team, like he never had the pressure on him that someone like Nico has in GT, right? So that Dupree, if Dupree has a bad game, everyone forgets it in like a week because Magus or Zippix or Glaive played well that day or something. Device has a bad game, you tweet about it for 3 weeks. Dupree has a bad game, there's nothing, like literally nothing. You barely even notice he had a bad game.
I will say when
Because he
Device
wasn't
had a
crucial to their team.
when Device had a good game, everyone else tweeted about it for 6 months. So like he had like one good group stage in 3 years, and people wanted him to have the MVP. Like, you can't tell me Device does not have the same PR movement that Dupree does, for fuck's sake. Like,
I'm saying purely you. I'm saying the thing with Dupree is that it's easy to look back now and say that he was more crucial than he was. You love to call people system players. Dupree was the fucking system player on that Australis team.
No.
All system players on that team. All of them.
Obviously, they were all system players, but it's so much easier to AWP the way Device does when your rifler is that, like, when your like guy getting the opening picks is winning the opening duel 2/3 of the time. Like, that's
not
obviously so much.
It's not a consistent thing.
It was pretty consistent at his peak.
So
I
I was
don't know.
Consistently,
he was
consistently
We're
the
having a
best
fact
centre
check.
back in the world.
I'd like to pause you both there a second, because I'm hearing a lot from Harry. A lot of reasonable things, the voice of reason, as I said. I'm not hearing an actual counter argument though, Harry.
Okay, well, I'm going to start. Okay, number one, he's just lying. I've just checked. Dupree's entry success rate, 2018 and 2019, 48.8%. And then in 2019, it was 52%. So he's just lying off the bat to start. But to present a counter, let's list a whole like group of candidates for best player of all time. The best players at CSGO of all time. That's what we're talking about here. Okay, we're not even doing the bullshit, American. Oh, he's the greatest of all time, but he's not the best of all time. We're not doing that. Just best of all time.
That's nonsense.
Okay. So Dupree, big events all time, 1.04 rating.
Difficult roles, mate.
Difficult roles.
That's also counting like from 2013 to like 2023. That's 10 years.
Elliott.
Yes, and he was very good for like all of those years apart from the last 3. Okay, so the player's better than him. Okay, we'll start with simple. You're gonna have to counter it later, but you don't have time yet. We're gonna go with simple. We're gonna go with Device, who outshined him on every team they ever played on. Cold Zero, Nico,
Zywoo.
Forrest, get right.
I'm definitely not having Nico. Is
Forrest, get right. Olaf.
Get right is particularly egregious.
Yeah, we're getting them all in. Come off it, because at some point, to be the best player of all time, you've got to be like a top best player in the world at some point. It's why Device isn't the GOAT.
I think
Device can't be the GOAT because he was never the best player in the world.
Yeah, I agree.
From like 2015 for a month. Okay, so Device can't be the GOAT. How the fuck can Dupree be the GOAT if Device can't?
Because he was the best team he was the best player on the best team of all time.
When?
On Australis, he was their best player.
He was the best player.
He didn't need the easy mode gun. He didn't need to hold angles with the easy mode gun.
He literally used the easy mode gun for what, like 3 months, and then was dog shit at the major and like gave it back to Device a week later. Because he's like zooming with Q or something. Like he's just a crazy kid. Like he had one good event in Blast Best of Ones. And it was like, AWPing's really easy, isn't it? And then you actually realise, once someone's watched one demo of you, AWPing's actually really hard, and just gave it back to Device. And then they became really good again.
AWPing's really easy. Let's not pretend.
Hold on, future.
Hang on. No, that's proof that it's really difficult to AWP if you don't have Dupree in your team. When Dupree doesn't have a Dupree, it's so much easier for Device to AWP because he has Dupree.
But Dupree AWPed really well at Blast, no?
If one, like you said,
it's easy.
That doesn't matter because one VO1 event. Like, it's a lot easier.
He's good at AWPing with Dennis, apparently. That's the way AWPing works. It's just how good your rifler is. It's not how good you are.
It certainly helps. The same reason Cold Zero was nowhere near as good when he didn't have Fur, like dropping 28 like entry kills a game.
He's not an AWPer, so you've already failed.
No, but it's the same. Like, it's the same thing. Like a closer, it's so much easier to close when your opener is the best in the world. The team who has the best opener in the world is usually the best team in the world.
But are we talking about Dupree as if he is the best opener in the world? But
he was.
Even then? Maybe
Come
for a
on.
little bit. 2018, 2019 is easy to say he was because he's in the best team in the world and they win every match. And every match is like when you win every game, your stats go like nuts.
Yeah,
Like,
that is true.
like it's not really comparable, to be honest. Like there's a reason all 5 of them got into the top 20 in this because all of them
And that
say
was
their stats
nonsense
are
as
fuck
well.
ton.
That was
All the
nonsense.
time.
There's
All the
no
time.
way. There's no way Zipnik should have been anywhere near the top 10. Nowhere near it. Come on.
He had his impacts, but yes, he didn't actually kill very many people. He survived every round because they won every round. Like, that's how that happened. And do you know what? Dupree's a fucking merchant for that as well. Dupree's stats, even back then, he doesn't look like an entry fragger. Like I'm looking at it.
That's how good he was.
Right now, 0.63 deaths per round. You're not dying for your teammates if you've got 0.63 deaths.
You're
per
right.
round.
He didn't die. That was how good he was.
Because he wasn't this raw entry fragger. Astralis were the first modern team. They didn't have those sort of strict roles. Like, yes, he's the aggressive guy, fine. He loves to go up short on Inferno, fine. But if Zipix is in front of him, Zipix isn't stopping and letting him go past. That wasn't how they played.
I agree.
That wasn't how they played. He's more of a jack of all trades than an entry fragger in that Astralis team to me. Like,
But
he was an entry fragger, but he wasn't like he wasn't so good that people let him have a really defined role. Like the best rifles of all time have a really defined role because they're that good that you need to play around them. They didn't play around Dupree because
and they won because
rate
of
him
that
highly.
Because because
they had a working team.
of great. Yeah, you've given Nico this defined role and you've won fuck all for it. What's the point? It becomes predictable.
Okay, we'll get into the Nico one. Okay, Nico has consistently been his team's best player, apart from maybe this year with Monacy, there's an argument. Other than that, he's been the best player on his team like every single year of his career.
And he's won nothing. You've built an entire team to play around him, and you have achieved nothing with it. What?
But this
you cannot possibly have him in the debate. He doesn't win. It's as simple as that. Like, you can say what you want that, the Dupree argument is nonsense because you can't just pick the guy who's won the most. But you have to pick somebody who's won fucking something.
Wait, Elliott. Can we not bring into that debate for just a moment the idea that some of Nico's teams, including a G2 one at points, they've been quite shit.
He had Olaf Meister, Rain, Guardian, and fucking Carrigan.
Hold your fucking horses, all right? Carrigan back then, still a little bit of a choke merchant. Guardian, after his injury, everyone fucking loved Guardian.
Yeah, Guardian was bad.
Not in his prime. Olaf, nowhere near his prime. Still really good.
He was
nowhere
still
near
good.
His prime.
Still good.
You know what you used to say about Rain back then. Rain's got a lot better now. That's not a... That's...
Rain and Carrigan have won major since. Rain and Carrigan have won major since.
Team value. It was a name value.
Rain won an MVP of a major after Nico left. I'm sorry.
Nico has come... Nico doesn't have the advantages that Dupree had in his career. Dupree has Danish privilege.
I agree. I know.
Dupree has got...
Nico can speak English, though.
Greatest coach of all time. Greatest by your logic of all time. Fine. Count the rings.
Yeah,
he's got... So, he's playing the game on easy mode. And then you've got...
Unlike Nico, who had Rain and Carrigan, arguably the greatest in-game leader of all time, and a major MVP after he left, as well as Olaf Meister, who'd already been a major MVP.
You cherry pick a little bit harder. Honestly, huge challenge you cherry pick harder. Which major MVP? That's one tournament.
And hang on,
this is
Harry.
One tournament that Nico hasn't won for what it's worth.
He's also failing to mention the mouse team that Nico was on, and the state of
Dupree never do. Yeah,
but back then Dupree was on fucking Copenhagen Wolves or something. Who cares?
Just a good team. Dupree could never do what Nico did at Stockholm ever in his life. Never.
What, lose? You're right. He would never lose a major final. You're right. I agree. We're in agreement. He would never lose the major final. He would have killed Simple if he was stood behind him.
Okay, but let's. Okay, I honestly I've lost that one. So we're gonna review up a little bit.
Yeah, Nico is egregious. Man. You can't have Nico.
But the thing is, okay, so in 2020, let's say start of COVID, was Dupree your best player of all time then?
He was in the debate.
So what has tipped him over the edge now? The fifth major.
He's won a fifth major. Yeah,
he's won a fifth major, carrying water for the fifth major.
Yeah,
and being cut straight afterwards.
Yeah, well, we'll see how good they are without him. We'll see how we've got now have a case study for like how important he actually is to a team. This will be an important case.
Okay, so Dupree's journey in vitality. Okay, he comes in still supposed to be, second star or whatever because they still have Masuda. They have zero firepower for 6 months. Get Spinks. Spinks becomes a second star. Dupree edges down a little bit, just down a little bit. Him and Magus still pop off sometimes, but not very good. He still has some good spots. Another 6 months. Apex sticks in B on Mirage and then they have Jack stand in for like one event. Jack's actually entry frags instead of Dupree doing his slow Danish thing waiting for 7 flashbangs. Actually entry frags. They play really well. Dupree comes back and Apex is like, play like Jack so your stuff doesn't work anymore. And then he has the first 2 good events he's had in ages for Vitality. Entry fragging like Jax. And then they cut him for a guy who's just naturally like Jax.
Okay.
Because as soon as Dupree won his he played shit at the next event.
So his willingness to learn is now a bad thing.
Willingness to learn, it took a year and 2 months to adapt to Apex's system. Like, so long.
Calling it Apex's system is generous, but fine.
Well, it clearly is, because it's not Zonics, is it? Because he's used to Zonics. And then by then, he was playing B on Mirage and just being an entry fragger bitch. And, had some good maps. Like, Rio, his ratings inflated by that one Virgo game. And other than that, wasn't actually that great, to be honest.
I'm not hit. This isn't an argument. Like, this is, you're just proving that he is able to change the way he plays as he gets older. Like, that's a good thing. That's what you want out of an older player.
Don't stick the best player of all time on B on Mirage. I'm sorry, you don't.
Well, clearly they do.
It just doesn't happen. Like, when you're older, you can change your role, fine, but it does not make him the best player of all time that he's been carried to a 5th major by other big favourites losing. I think he's got his 5th major.
That's not no. He was now been on another great team. Like,
on 2 events and
the Astralis players
a few times.
Only Magisk is
great team.
Only Magisk has left Astralis and won again, other than Dupree. And Dupree also won a major without Magisk before he got there.
Well, Astralis' best player didn't play for like a year. And the other time he was playing in NIP. He's not making decisions.
Apparently, according to him, NIP were miles ahead of Astralis, so...
Well, clearly not. Clearly not. Players say a lot of things. We've got eyes. We can see what's actually going on.
I'd like to ask another question. Sorry, Harry. I know you want to defend Device. I know you do. I know you can't not. But we're gonna move back on track. Why is Dupree, Elliott? Why is Dupree any better than Coldzera?
Because he's won more in a more difficult role.
However, based on what Harry said
Coldzera just got to bait Taco for 2 years and he was good.
Hang on. Based on what Harry said earlier, you can't be the best player if you haven't been like the best player in the world for at least a year. Coldzera was twice in a row, won 2 majors, a big factor, major MVP at both of those majors. Like, why is Dupree better? For a reason that
it's the twist argument.
5 majors.
It's literally the twist argument. It's literally you're the 3rd best player on a really good team like a few times. Okay, fine. You're not the best player all the time.
Twist has won. Hell, he's been part of 2 of the greatest teams of all time. I don't think you can write that off as coincidence. I just don't think you can.
It's not coincidence. It doesn't mean he was the best player on those teams or of all time.
Like, I just don't think you can consistently be in the right place and not be considered the right person. I think that's insane. Like, you can say, like, Coldzera, you're right, he was good for like a year and a half, but he was fucking dog shit as soon as things fell apart. Dupree has been part of teams that have collapsed, lost, and he's just improved and got better over time. Like, do you remember how hard Astralis used to choke? And then Dupree just got over that.
Do you want to solve that? Dupree didn't get over that. What solved that? What solved Astralis' choking issues is, again, just like Vitality, Dupree got cucked. Dupree lost his roles and Kiebi came in and got an MVP in his roles.
Yep.
Before you're telling me how hard his roles are, he got cucked out of his roles to move to a more supportive position. And then Kiebi, in those star roles, got the MVP at the first major he played under Glaive. In those roles.
And then they put Dupree back in it and won another 3.
Yes, and he didn't get the MVP of any of them.
And he should have done.
It's just... Magisk what Maze could do from those anchor positions, like if you're talking about hard roles and like overqualified for hard roles, it's Magus, it's not Dupree.
Yeah, well, you don't put the best player in anchor roles, I've heard. So
You actually do these days. Magus was a pioneer.
So you do now, do you? That's weird. 5 minutes
There's a
ago, you were telling me
difference.
you don't.
There's a difference between fucking Beyond Mirage and like
Doesn't KS
John and Simon.
Arato play
You know
Beyond
this.
Mirage?
No, of course he doesn't. He plays short on Mirage.
Does he?
Yes.
He definitely plays some anchor spots.
Drop plays B.
Oh, fine.
Of course he does. He plays anchor spots. He plays the important anchor spots, the impactful anchor spots
All
where you
anchor
then win a
spots are
1v2 on the other side. Like he plays the Rops, Case Roto, Axel anchor sides. Dupree wasn't playing that. Magus plays those. Dupree is rotating, which is a good role, and now plays Beyond Mirage because Apex thinks he's washed and not crazy enough.
Yeah,
And then Cohen.
Apex thinking he's better than Dupree, I don't think you can really hold that against Dupree. We've all watched Apex play, and he is better than Dupree.
You've seen Sonic's tweet. It wasn't Apex's decision. It's Zonic's decision. Zonic has been with Dupree this whole time. If Zonic really thinks Dupree's the best player of all time, do you think he cuts him for like a 19-year-old who has done nothing?
He's like 30 now, man. Like, let him retire. He's done his bit. He's won everything there is to win.
But he's the best player of all time.
Yeah, retire on top.
He wants the sixth. He wants to win at his home major. He's got to go and win that with TSM with Jags.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen, is it?
If he's the best player of all time, I feel like more people would want him. I don't know, just me.
He's
I feel like if Messi,
Cristiano Ronaldo's playing in the fucking Saudi league, like, because he's 37. Like, 30 years old in esports is 38 in real sport.
Yeah, he's okay. He's got a lot of miles, but there's still like, I don't know. Estrada signing Borup when Dupree's available. I don't know. I don't know if that's the most. Like Dupree, you've said it yourself. Dupree wasn't the GOAT 3 years ago. The reason you think Dupree is the GOAT is because he won this major. It's because he won this fifth major, and this fifth major is so unbelievably Mickey Mouse, and he was not like a crazy big part of it. He wasn't like, he could have played worse and they still would have won this major. Like it just baffles me that there's even
winning is all that matters
for this argument.
Winning is all that matters.
So I've got two more questions I want to ask. Right, one is it's just ridiculous that you're going to argue it. The other one, it's a slight difference.
I'm fine.
Elliott, why is Dupree better in the history, in the Hall of Fame books, whatever the fuck you want to call it, than Simple?
Simple has one major, and other than that, he's kind of choked majors generally. And like, Simple's trophy haul is not that impressive for a guy who's clearly as good as he is, because teammate-wise, he is just difficult to play with. Like, Dupree, he has to be easier to play with because he is more malleable. Even if he does have this ego where he does take some good roles, he's won enough to prove that why he should. Like,
okay,
he's won everything there is to win. Simple hasn't.
On the flip side, then, Harry, based on which Simple has, by the way, he's won a major and a Grand Slam. Harry.
Oh, the Grand Slam. I wouldn't. Oh.
Yeah, it's Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse. Moving on. Considering the, what you said earlier with Dupree having the greatest All-Pro of all time, because he is the greatest IGL of all time.
By Elliott's criteria.
He's probably not, but potentially is. Carrigan's probably better, whatever. So based on the teammates that Simple has had for large portions of his career, like pre-Electronic, when he was on Liquid and with Na'Vi, and even for the first year or so, maybe two, with Electronic, why does that show that Simple is maybe better in your eyes?
Well, it's just eye test as well. It's every single metric you can put out for greatness, other than a literal number of majors won, which is irrelevant in a team sport, and you're talking about an individual thing.
Not irrelevant. Not
Completely irrelevant, but it's not the only factor. Simple has been the highest rated player for like 7 years in a row or something. Like it's people talk about Dupree's longevity as if it's like something really, really crazy, and it is really crazy that he's played 10 years at this level. Very impressive, but his peaks haven't been high enough for me to ever be close to the greatest of all time. Simple's peaks are ridiculous. Like Simple at Stockholm, like Nico wins an MVP in all of the other majors probably, but Simple was just like somehow even better. And like And you've got this 2018 Na'vi team that is just utter garbage. He's got Zeus and Edward, and they're still like, you talk about him choking major finals. Like, okay, so he lost to Astralis, the best team of all time. When Simple was peaking, it was the same time as Astralis, and he had Zeus and Edward on his team. And then you come at him for not winning enough trophies.
Zeus
Like,
won a
it's-
major against Astralis with a Dread and Hobbit.
Yes, Krakow, just like Paris, and Rio, Mickey Mouse major.
You
We
can't just
established
write
this.
off everyone that Simple or Astralis don't win as Mickey Mouse, though. That's
Okay,
That's
no,
the
but
pro- that's why it's
Krakow,
hard
that
to win.
Astralis loss was very much emblematic of that team at the time. And Dupree was a part of why that team couldn't take that extra step. Look at the start of 2017, after they won that major, they'd won, they didn't win E-League, but they won ECS, and then they won the major. Like, they should have won more. They won Katowice with that Dupree Deagle Ace. They should have kicked on from that point. And the reason they didn't is because Kievi dropped off a cliff, and because Dupree...
because the roles are very
hole.
difficult, yeah.
Dupree couldn't fill the hole, could he? And
Come on.
and they had to wait.
Are we
until
really
so then he
saying
picked up
Dupree
Magnus.
couldn't fill the hole that Kievi left when he went on to win 3 majors in those positions?
In 2017,
Come
he
on.
couldn't. In 2017, he couldn't. He needed
Because
Magus
the
to come
roles
in
are
to do it.
difficult.
He needed Magus to come in. This is the thing with Dupree. Okay, when you see the trophy total at the end, you ignore all of the context of Dupree, which is he had quite a lot of dips. Like 2016, I feel like he was just not even that good. 2015, honestly, him and Device were like really good together. Like they were a proper double D combo, whatever the fuck people used to call it. Like later on, he was just a very good player and a very good team for me. I don't think he ever got close to being the best player on his team, and that is just that's ultimately the thing that
Okay.
Simple can always have. Simple will always dominate every team he's on because he's that good.
Okay,
Dupree can never have
and-
that influence in
And
his team.
not win as much.
so I want to ask one final question then. One final question. Harry, you've made it very clear you don't think Dupree is the greatest player of all time.
It's not even top 10.
Come on.
Okay, no,
Come on.
no. I'm outraged at that, so we're leaving that there. Is he? And I know a lot of the names you mentioned earlier were riflers. Is he the greatest rifler of all time?
For me, no. I don't think he does enough.
I think the only argument against him being the best rifler is maybe Olaf Meister.
I think Olaf and Cold and Geralt and
Cold.
Forrest, honestly, I
Not
think
a
they've all done more.
Not a chance Geralt or Forrest are there.
I think they've done more.
Cold Zero had a high
I think
peak.
Nico's done more.
He just obviously hasn't done more.
I'll die on the Nico Hill. You can die on the Dupree Hill. But there's a long.
The
He's up
only-
there.
The
He is up
only
there.
thing, the
This is
only
a-
thing Nico has done that Dupree hasn't is lose a major final twice.
Okay. We're gonna leave it there. We're gonna wrap it up there. It's the point of this series. You two are never gonna fucking agree on anything. Well, no, you will, but it will be in 5 years' time when Harry's flip flop.
Yeah.
You know, he's
No,
become-
never to this. I'll flip up on a lot of things. If I ever say Dupree's the greatest player of all time, like that's permission to call me insane and just fucking get rid of me. Okay,
Okay,
that's
so
too much.
When he
everyone,
wins the first CS2 major with Jax.
I'm gonna cry.
and CS
Imagine.
Okay, everyone, comment down below. Let us know. Did Elliott manage to convince you? I'm going to hazard a guess as to not. But
Grow up.
Just
grow up.
Rings.
but
Fucking
yeah, like the
Pandora.
video,
He's won, mate.
subscribe. We'll have another one of these coming soon. Probably Harry talking about why Orping's the most difficult role, and Elliott saying it's the easiest role. And
It's so fucking
a
easy.
small child,
So
small child without a hand who's never loaded up the game before could Orpin a major final. But yeah,
Semis.
semis. Okay.
If
Well-
Mo can do it.
Thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.